Okay, so I got stuck into a loop here, and I realized, or rather, I came across this video right here that you guys see. It's why Diablo 2 players hate Diablo 4. I don't know who this guy is. I watched one video on like his gripes with Diablo and with Diablo 4, and I was really impressed with um, just some of the things that he pointed out, right? Because one thing that I really don't like is that they reuse the same map over and over. Just like in Diablo 3, it was the same shit over and over. And like now, like the shrines are so different. And he pointed out that CC is different. And so like let's go over all this stuff, right? So first off, my reasoning for liking Diablo 2 way more than any other Diablo game I've played, 3 and 4. Like, I would honestly rather go back and play Diablo 2 after I complete Diablo 4 rather than grinding Diablo 4, right? So, here's why. The abilities suck in Diablo 4. Yes, they're arguably some of the same ones compared to Diablo 2. Like, looking back at Diablo 2, they took the abilities, brought them up. Great, love that. But the actual effects that you get, vulnerable, things like that, are dumb. It's dumb. Okay? You really don't need all that much. You don't need that much complexity. So as you can see, I kind of watched a little bit of the video. So I am going to watch this video. I'm going to watch the video at like time and a half speed, which might bother you guys. But I don't want to spend a whole fucking hour reviewing somebody reviewing a gameplay. It's like not cool. So I'm going to time and a half this, and we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. Let's see.
Why Diablo 2 players hate Diablo 4. Well, apparently this person speaks for all Diablo 2 players. Here we go. Let's see what he has to say.
Diablo 4 is now a spin-off version of Diablo 3, Path of Exile, and World of Warcraft.
Yep, because you get the Path of Exile bullshit tree. You get the Diablo 3 layouts and animations and monsters. And then the World of Warcraft part comes from how the world is built. Absolutely.
RNG, random number generator game mechanics that made Diablo 2 the greatest game of all time.
Yes.
Randomized loot, dungeons.
The randomizer was so fucking annoying. That's why people made thousands of dollars per week from botting on Diablo 2. It's like, that's how painful it was to grind. It took about 100 hours to get a rune up to a level that's actually worthwhile. Like, and all you did was bail over and over and over and over, and that's how you grind out, because he has the best drop chances of any boss. So, yeah, and then there are obviously specific areas that you want to go to, but it's like, yeah.
Monster spawns, and even skill damage ability gave you a new experience every time you log onto the game.
Yes. Because every time you log on, you get a different monster. Like, you see here Diablo in the fucking plains. Like, you don't get that. It's always, oh, this event here, that event there. No. Fucking Diablo shows up and tries to stomp your ass, and he's just as hard as he was the first time.
And has given the player base infinite replay value for 20 years. Diablo 4
Yes.
has now evolved into a repetitive gameplay style that gives you the same experience over and over. That is less rewarding and is for the casual player base and MMORPG.
I mean, I would assume that with Diablo 2, most people probably fall off on the game really fast, too. Like, they probably do the campaign, they probably farm whatever the highest difficulty is for a while, and then they stop playing.
So it depends. It really depends. Like, now with all the EXP multipliers, the increased chance drops, when I was using mods and shit, I played 70 hours a week for almost 4 months. And yeah, I got a little bored after a while. But that's 4 months of gameplay on a 20-year-old game with mods. Can you imagine if I didn't mod that? There would be so much more gameplay. You go through and you kill all of the primevals, and then you log off and you do it again. Like, the fact of getting to them is so annoying because, like, for Andoria, you get to the Inner Cloister 2, and you still have to work your way down 2 levels. And if you're not a sorceress with fucking teleport, or have gear that gives you teleport that can be repaired, it's going to take you a long time. And so grinding through there gets you the extra little bit of EXP that you wouldn't have gotten for Andoria. On top of that, there was code that you could put in. It's /players and then however much you want. Players 8 is going to be the most difficult because that's the limit of how many players you could have in a round. But that player modifier was, hey, I'm going to go in and I want the difficulty that the game would set for this many players in the game because it scales, right? The more players, the harder the difficulty, of course. So I would go in, players ate it, and just fucking grind. It was great.
Diablo 3. That's the way these games are designed. Not back in the day. Well, I mean, back in the day, you can't really compare what it was like back in the day because back in the day, you didn't have 50,000 other fucking games. You had one game. So, of course, you were only going to play Diablo 2 because you only had Diablo 2. The only other game you might have is Diablo 1. So, yeah, of course, it was totally different back then. But, like, I'm talking about nowadays. Like, I'm sure you can look at Twitch Tracker, Diablo 2, categories, Diablo 2 Resurrected. Yeah, I mean, you have the same thing happen, right? Where it's like the first day of the season, a lot of people watch, and then people fall off. Now, I would argue that interest in watching a game is roughly correlated in interest playing a game. I mean, this is not a hot take, right? Seasons are done to refresh that interest. And this is also not a bad thing. That's the way seasonal games are made. Everybody plays the game.
Look at all those tabs!
Yeah, I think it's Path of Exile, same as every other seasonal game. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Now, I've been considered one of the most controversial Diablo 2 content creators for my critical opinions, and somewhat of an outcast because of them.
Okay.
98% of Diablo-specific content creators are partnered with Blizzard. This is probably why you have never seen me use the hashtag Diablo partner. I've always expressed myself to the fullest and never tried to gain the approval of everybody, which is an impossible task when fully being yourself. The game is my love and passion, though. I will be as old as Dr. Kane going on a rant about game.
I kind of don't like this language, and the reason why I don't like it is like what he's implying is that everybody else on this list is like fake and saying things that aren't true and that are illegitimate. And I think that's kind of unfair.
No, that's not what I don't think that's what he's saying. I think what he's trying to imply is that he likes the game just as much as those people do, but he's not being held to a status of being partnered with Blizzard like the other people are, so he can have more freedom of speech and criticism in that. Whereas if you're partnered with something, you don't want to criticize or fault or downplay what you're trying to promote, right?
It's very weird because like, how do you know that they don't think this? How do you know that they're just not like? Because there are people that like the game, right? But you can expect that there are people that like Diablo 4 in the same way that like I am not a big fan of FIFA, but I think it would be stupid for me to say that everybody who likes FIFA is getting paid or is artificially pretending to like FIFA. No, it's just that other people like the game and I don't like the game. That doesn't mean that they're paid or this is some kind of conspiracy. People just have different interests.
They're getting paid. Partner.
Of Riker and Mr. Llama being critical of the game. This is not unreasonable. Anyone on Maxroll. The biggest Diablo 4 meme is because of the guy that runs it. What are you talking about? It's the Rack 17 damage meme. This is not even true.
The game is my love and passion, though. I will be as old as Dr. Kane going on a rant about game mechanics and just my overall love for the game. All of my opinions come from a place of love, and I want Diablo to be in the spotlight like it should have been for the past 20 years. So let's talk about how the Diablo 4 game mechanics work. I will explain to you how Diablo 4 has now evolved into a repetitive experience from a Diablo 2 player perspective. Explaining core game mechanics that are important to understand for the long-term success of Diablo 4 or any Diablo game. Diablo's unique gameplay style and replay value is possible through the term RNG, the random number generator.
Well, they have that in Diablo 4, because if they didn't, I would have...
He's saying overall the Diablo series. Shut up.
I don't.
This was the main core revolutionary game mechanic of Diablo 2.
There's nothing revolutionary about RNG. The people that invented RNG in fantasy gaming is Dungeons & Dragons. They were the ones that introduced dice rolls, because before that, different types of like fantasy-based games were not fun to play because they were completely on rails. And my mom, like, she actually played games that were fantasy games before Dungeons & Dragons. I did not even know this, but I found the ancient texts. And this is back whenever she was still around. So I asked her, I was like, what the fuck is this? And she had spreadsheets and lists and everything for like these games that were made for a computer that can fucking, this is like one of the computers that have like a screen this small. So the
yeah, back when you would flip to the thing. And then there was oftentimes there was a foreword of, hey, don't just read through the book. That's cheating. You're a bad player. I can't fucking criticize.
I found them. And it's just like, this is like this old game I used to play on the computer. And like, it was an Osborne PC. Let me show you the PC that she played this game on, okay? This is the PC right here. I'd have to find the specific one. But I could literally take, I don't want to get to my fucking closet. There's a bunch of stuff in my closet. I'm not getting it. But I have one of these. And it is, let me just see. It's basically like one of these here. And it's got a little screen in the middle. And this is what she used to play games on. And Dungeons & Dragons was the thing that introduced RNG into fantasy gaming. It was not Diablo 2. Like, this like predates Diablo 2 by like 20 or 30 years.
Core value has been exiled from the Diablo franchise since the release of Diablo.
Item RNG is what he's talking about. Item RNG was made by Dungeons & Dragons.
And now abandoned by Diablo 4. Now,
RNG has been abandoned by Diablo 4? I didn't know that.
Relatively,
When I kill a boss, I'm just going to get the legendary I want. Thank God.
What is it about Diablo 2 that made that game the greatest game?
No, because it's a percentage drop, right? That does, in a way, limit RNG, right? Because every certain amount of times that you kill the boss, you're going to have a guaranteed kill. Like if it's a 2% drop, right? And out of every 100, you're going to get it 2 times. Whereas in Diablo 2, your numbers changed every time you relog the game.
Of all time.
Whereas now you get online servers where the boss spawns every so often, or if like you're working on a story, it'll spawn for you and you move on, right? The numbers are low. Whereas Diablo 2 was an offline game, right? And so like the games work. Once you left the world, once everyone left that world, your chances are completely reset.
In 20 years playing this game and not others. With my studies of quantum physics and my spiritual journey, I realized 95% of quantum physics and my spiritual journey, I realized 95% of our brain's thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, perceptions, and more.
What? The memorized behaviors. Yeah.
Only 2 minutes into this video and we're already getting into the fucking metaphysical shit? Oh my god. We're 2 minutes in and he's already revealing his power level? Oh no. Let him cook? Alright.
Like an automatic, unconscious computer program. Your perceptions of the real world and the gaming world are a set of unconscious programs. This theory, along with the misunderstanding of Diablo's core game mechanics, were the real reason why you have these beliefs about Diablo 2 being the greatest game of all time.
Dude, I fucking love that sword so much.
In further detail later on. Chris Wilson, the creator of Path of Exile, studied these theories as well about Diablo 2 when he was creating Path of Exile. Chris knew Diablo 2 was the greatest game of all time, and he studied the game to its core. Every time you log on to Diablo 2, you have a new experience because of the RNG mechanics. Every moment is different. It is impossible to have the same experience you had before every time you log on to the game. When you enter the world, the dungeons are randomized.
I mean,
yep.
I don't really think that's entirely true in a unique way with Diablo 2. Like, maybe I'm wrong because I haven't played the game a lot, but I've watched the game a pretty good amount.
No, so sometimes it's snakes, sometimes it's carvers. You literally don't know when you walk in. Sometimes it's the fucking, what does Diablo 4 call them? The succubus, right? It's different every fucking time.
And my understanding with Diablo 2 is that most of the level layouts, like, it's, like in Path of Exile, most of the different locations whenever you're doing the campaign are pseudo-randomized. So, for example, if you want to go to the, into like the cave in Act 2 where the bear is, okay? You're going to go into the crossroads or whatever it is on top of the Act 2 area, and it's going to be to the right. And it will be somewhere in that area. And it's not going to be exactly in the same place every time, but there's...
Nope. Diablo 2 changes the map. Yes, there are only a certain number of map layouts. And, you know, if you play enough, like I did, you can memorize exactly where those were. Like where they're playing now, getting ready to go kill Bale. There are only one of 3 spots that it's going to be in. But the map itself to go down is big enough that I don't fucking know. I gotta go figure it out. And if I get trapped with no mana, I gotta fight until I either die or find it. Right? Like grind through it. Again, going back to that EXP. If you don't know where it is, you're gonna have to fight your way over there.
There's a general area that it will be in, the den, yeah. And my understanding is that that's lifted from Diablo 2. Because Diablo 2 has randomized locations, but fixed location, like a fixed location apparatus, where it can be in like 1 of 5 different areas, and it will be down to the left. That's the way it works, right? Yes, exactly.
More
okay,
or less, yeah.
I mean, again, I'm only guessing here, but yes, it's no, I understand tile sets. No, bro, like I played a lot of Diablo 3, I get it. But I put thousands of hours into Diablo 3. I put thousands of hours into Path of Exile. I did not really play Diablo 2. I wish I did. My mom didn't let me. Bro, it had Diablo on the fucking cover.
God, I can play it! Oh my god! Dude, you can get like a used version that isn't logged with someone's account. I mean, even if it is, it doesn't matter. You can get a used version for like $10.
I was raised Roman Catholic. I'm not getting a game that has the devil on the cover, okay? It's just not going to happen. It's like, oh, but you killed the devil. It's like, yeah, nice try. Nice try, Satan. Not today. So, yeah, anyway.
That's how my dad was until I showed him, like, that you don't perform demonic rituals and shit in the game. It's just a fucking game. And he was like, oh, okay. Like, fuck, dude.
I feel like if you played Diablo 2, you would pretty much have the same experience, roughly the same experience every time. And it's not going to be a one-for-one experience, but it will be extremely similar to the other experiences that you had. And not entirely, yes, but like we're talking about like 95%.
No.
And it's not entirely in the same way that Diablo 3 was not entirely. Not entirely in the same way that Path of Exile maps are not entirely. Now, PoE maps are a little bit different because like there are fixed maps, but in general, I think this is the case. Let's get back to the quantum physics. You're right. Anyway, yeah, I disagree on the idea that Diablo 2 is uniquely unique. I think that many games have dungeon randomized tile sets.
I don't think that's the case. Not for its time, anyways. I think part of the reason that it got so much popularity is games at the time were like Civ 4, right? You get, or not Civ 4, but like the Civilization series. I'm not sure when Civ 4 came out. Anyways, a lot of them were like Civ 4 if it was overhead, or like StarCraft, you know? A lot of it was straight overhead, whereas this is overhead, but it's a little more interactive and a little more action-y based. I don't know.
Diablo 2 is not the only game that has this.
Along with the types of monsters that
spawn. Are you sure?
I will, however, say that Diablo 2 is the reason why all the other games have it.
The map layouts.
I can agree with that.
Now, when you play Diablo 2, as I said, 95% of your perceptions of the world are unconscious. You unconsciously never knew exactly why.
Wait, go back.
As I said, 95% of your perceptions.
Look at this map. Dude, I missed that map. I want that map back in Diablo 4. I love the overlay map. Like, that right there is the reason that it's so much that the world, I think, is so much better in Diablo 2 than the Diablo 3 or Diablo 4. Because yeah, you got the mini map sure up on the top right, and yeah, you could open up the big map, but it's literally right here. It doesn't interfere with your gameplay. You can see it, and it's not all the way over there. And you can move the map. If you don't like it being centered on you, put it up here. You can do that. You guys can't see where I point, but take the map. You can actually use the arrow keys while the map is up. Move the arrow keys. You can move it anywhere you want.
Sections of the world are unconscious. You unconsciously never knew exactly why Diablo 2 was the greatest game of all time, and these core game mechanics pass right by your awareness. This concept of the Diablo world had you constantly addicted to the rush of wanting new experiences. You just never realized it this whole time.
I think this video would be a lot better if he replaced you and he replaced it with I. Because what he's really talking about is his personal experience with the game. And like a lot of people didn't get that vibe from Diablo 2.
Are you sure?
Being randomized gave you a sense of overwhelming accomplishment when you found something like such as a high rune. This extreme rarity.
Yes!
Combined with the reward of extreme power left the player feeling like they were truly rewarded for their effort. The reason why Diablo 2 players won't like Diablo 4 is because it doesn't have these core game mechanics of RNG. In Diablo 4, the world is almost always the same with no RNG. The dungeons are the same repetitive experience over and over again. Fetch a key,
more or less.
Run to the right and open a door. The monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I watch people doing farming runs for like Diablo 2, all it is like usually it's like a sorcerer teleporting frames and then AoEing down a group of mobs and then resetting it and doing it again.
Yeah.
Like that's
well, that's EXP farming, sure.
The gameplay that I see a lot. And I'm not saying that's the whole game, but that's certainly what I see. And I see that a lot.
Well, yeah, of course you're going to see that a lot. But what he's commenting on, and I think this guy's getting a little too defensive about the Diablo 4, and this guy's comparison to Diablo 2 to Diablo 4. In Diablo 4, I've had more puzzles of kill the guy to the left, kill the guy to the right, collect their items, put them on the pedestal, get the dungeon boss. I've had more of that than I have discovery of areas. Right? Like, I'm not going to go around and, like, hunt all the altars of Lilith and try and find them. I'm not that hardcore of a gamer. I'm not going to go in and spend endless hours researching where they are. I honestly don't care. But with Diablo 2, that part of it was more fun because it was less about trying to force a puzzle and more about exploration.
And the reason, straight up, like, that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to play the game, is that's obviously the best farming method, right? Like, there's no way anybody can beat that. Yeah. So, like, that's, in my opinion, I think that's a shit meta.
So then why leave it alone?
It's a shit meta. And if they were still developing the game, it wouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Spawns are somewhat randomized, however, mostly the same. So now let's talk about soulbound.
Well, it's somewhat randomized, but mostly...
It wouldn't be that way anymore because you can't make money off of that. Right.
Same. I think that's, again, what Diablo 2 has as well. And also, like, whenever he's talking about, like, this thing, I don't think you can really compare, like, in-game Diablo 2 to Act 1 Diablo 4 dungeons. Because the in-game dungeons are going to be different. They're not going to be the exact same because they're going to be, like, modified by affixes and different types of different things that the Nightmare dungeons will apply to them.
Right.
No trading and itemization. So 98% of the item drops are for your class and give you no sense of accomplishment. This turn.
Yep. Because they modified drops to your class. That doesn't happen in Diablo 2.
Items, no trade, however, mostly the same. So now let's talk about soulbound items, no trading, and itemization. So 98% of the item drops are for your class and give you no sense of accomplishment. This term.
98% of the item drops are for your class and gives you no sense of accomplishment. I think he's right about the first thing. He's wrong about the second one.
Okay, so there is a small sense of accomplishment, but like when I was playing Diablo 2, right? No, I really should go back and fucking play that game again, dude. It's so much fun. Go back and make a sorceress. Unfortunately, they're not all that great. Anyways, when I was grinding for a sorceress and when I ground for my druid, wolf druids are the best because they run the fastest. They do the most AoE damage with rabies unless they're poison resistant, of course, but that's when... anyways. I would pick shit up as a druid for barbarian legendary gear. Or class-specific necro gear. Like, I'm going through the game and it's like, yes, yellow drop! And then I pick it up and it's defeat. Because it's a fucking other class, man. So, like, I like the satisfaction of it always being relevant gear, or most of the time being relevant gear, but I think the excitement of wanting to play another class and getting gear for another class to make you excited to play the game again on the other class, I think is more valuable, in my opinion, than always getting gear for yourself.
I think that yes, and I've always been a very big advocate that I think that they should have more drops for other classes that happen whenever you get to max level. Because, like, for example, somebody might kind of want to make a wizard, but if they have, like, a really good wizard item drop, they might think, oh, yeah, you know what, maybe I'll try it out.
See, the problem with doing it just at max level is you're going to be grinding and shitting for the rest of the time so you can level up to that gear. No,
since I got like the best in slot weapon for wizard to drop or something like that, I think that'd be fine.
Called personal loot, the same competitive experience. This is a spin-off concept.
I love personal loot. Okay. Or I love the idea of account locked loot. Like, right? So like I can drop it or sell it or whatever, and it doesn't matter. But when I look back at Diablo 2, it's not as challenging, right? Like you had to be on the dime. If Bale dropped his fucking anti-freeze ring, I forget what it's called at the moment, and you were with a group of friends, if you were the asshole, had one and wanted another one, you could take it and then force them to trade you something. Yeah, you could be an asshole about it. Cool. But with Diablo 4, you don't have that opportunity. Each person gets their own drops, which I love. You know, it makes it more of like, hey, I'm going to do this to help you out kind of thing. Whereas other people, a lot of times I experienced, would just go sell the ring and then you have to grind for it again.
That's from World of Warcraft Instant Loot, where the loot drops are mostly the same from bosses and become soulbound. This has removed the idea of item drops being unique, special, and rewarding. This is to appeal to the casual players.
I don't think that having personal loot makes item drops and things like that not rewarding. Because it's still hard to get the items. It's not like you can't get, it's not like you're just going to get everything.
No, the randomizer was more intense in Diablo 2. I get more legendaries in Diablo 3 and 4 in 20 hours of gameplay than I got in 100 hours of gameplay on Diablo 2 without mods.
Thing you want.
Also, the World of Warcraft player base because it has a massive following, and they like the concept of instant loot. They don't like RNG-based item drops. This gets them interested in the game and makes Blizzard more money from a wider audience.
Right.
This concept of instant loot. They don't like RNG-based item drops.
The items are RNG though. Like where is this person going about how the items aren't RNG?
So it's about the percentages. Again, going back.
Because they literally drop with random stats. Now they don't.
So they drop with random stats, but he's implying, what I think he's implying, is the quantitative drops, not the quality of the drops.
Like, for example, like a legendary item will always drop with, like, you know, I don't know, Andariel's Visage would always drop with, what was it, like crit chance and like crit damage or attack speed or something like that? Yeah, but all the other stats were random. He doesn't know how RNG is applied.
No, you're misinterpreting.
He's saying RNG in the sense for any of your class? Oh, okay, yeah.
This gets them interested in the game and makes Blizzard more money from a wider audience. Also, the loot drops were increased for the beta. However, I still think Blizzard is going to have legendaries dropping like WoW runes, just to benefit the casual player base.
Well, I think that's probably smart to have legendaries drop a lot, because legendaries allow people to build their character the way they want. Like, you don't want to have people farming for, like, fucking... Like, for example, this is the problem that Path of Exile has, is that in PoE there are a lot of builds that take a long time to get going, and I think that you have to invest so much into it that unless you're a very serious player, you might just lose interest in the game.
It's not about being a serious player. It's about constantly having a goal. If you make something hard to attain, you get a game that you want to play more because it's more difficult to acquire it. Yes, you have to do the same thing over and over more, but that's what makes the items more desirable and worth more and more rewarding, is that longer time. I would rather try, like, for example, Bale. I would rather kill Bale 10 times over, take an hour and a half to do that, right? Take an hour and a half to kill Bale 10 times over to get one fucking item, than have it drop and be like, oh, great, now I get to build it the way I want it. Cool. I like that long-term goal thought.
Process. Like, I think this is definitely a problem. So, like, you do want to have legendaries drop kind of regularly. That doesn't mean you get all the legendaries all the time. No. But it means you want to give people at least something to work towards. Absolutely.
Also,
yeah, long-term working towards now, I can see where the lack of money would be, because we've become more of, and I'm speaking generally here, more of a society that prefers immediate gratification. So you get legendaries that boost you up to a point where you can go up, which is great. But then by the same token, if you play for the long game and you're willing to stay in the game a little longer, I think it's more fun that way. I don't need the mythic item right now. I want to play the game and grind for it. I want to have fun. Diablo 2 is a grindy game. Always has been, and in my opinion, always should be.
For casual players who don't play the game at the end game level. So soulbound items and no trading. Have you ever heard any player say, I don't like trading? I don't like...
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying that they don't like it. That's why you have solo self-found. That's why PoE has solo self-found. It's a huge thing. That's why like classic WoW hardcore has solo self-found. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that think that. Now, personally, I am a trading enjoyer. I really like the idea of trading, and I think that if you took trading out of the game like Path of Exile, my interest for the game would diminish greatly. I love trading, and trading is what made me like Diablo 3 Vanilla more than Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls, because I like the idea of being able to farm out items and sell those items and then work towards the real big item that I want incrementally over time. Like, I farmed out, for example, like my Wardloot character in PoE. That was like a almost 100-hour journey that I took because I could trade. And I worked towards that goal one map at a time. And that felt really good for me to do. I really enjoyed that. So I am a huge trading advocate. I am a massive trading enjoyer. I think that they should have trading. And it seems like they are.
Trading in Diablo 4. Never. Let's say you find a Zod rune, the rarest rune in the third game of Diablo 2, that is sort of like a barbarian, and you found it on a sorceress, so now it has no use to you. If this was Diablo 4, you can trade it. One of the rarest items in the game, and you now have to just salvage it.
And this is something
Yes.
that PoE does right. Like, I think that I got, what was that fucking, I got a jewel, and it was worth like 8 or 9 divine orbs, which are like, it's a big ticket item, right? Divine orbs are like fucking $100 bills or $1,000 bills. $1,000 bills. Shared stash, well, what he means is you can't sell it.
Item drops are class based. What if it's not for your build? Will this happen in Diablo 4? Most likely. This theory isn't absolute because we haven't experienced endgame. So
of course it'll happen. Of course you'll get items that aren't perfect for you.
Why does Blizzard want no trading when 98% of the Diablo community wants trading?
I mean, where do you get that number? I would argue that I think that most people do want trading because most players will advocate for the path of least resistance, and trading is the path of least resistance. Like, I think that it's the majority. Is it 98%? I don't know. I think that it's very high. Like, if you were to say, like, should we take trading out of the game and put it up to a vote, I don't think that vote would pass.
Yes, it would.
It's cut down on RNT for sure. No, I don't want to be handicapped by Blizzard because they refuse to moderate their game. No, I don't want to be handicapped. Nope. This is a $70 fucking box price game. If you can't moderate your game, I don't want to be punished for that. That's your fault.
Yep.
Many theories to this. One is Blizzard thinks this will fix real money trading. However, there will always be real money.
Because you can always trade other things. You can trade tons of other things that are not, like you can trade gold, for example. You just can't trade high-end, unique items.
When trading is
why not
any kind of form. There's no fixed
right. So again, going back to the Zod rune explanation, if Bale drops a Zod rune and I don't need it, maybe I can trade it for 4 or 5 other runes of equivalent value. Right? Like maybe there's a build that I need these 4 specific runes. And I can tell this person, hey, I promise you this Zod rune if you can get me these specific 5 runes that I need for the build that I'm going for. I don't need the Zod rune. And then you hold on to it, and then when they drop the 5 runes, you drop your Zod rune, and it's a trade. It's great. Trading, I will admit, trading in Diablo was risky, because you have to drop your shit on the ground. Okay? You drop your shit on the ground, and then it's free loot for everyone. So if it's more than, like, if you're in a game with, like, 5 people, and there's only a trade between you and one other person, you have to go run somewhere where no one else can, or probably will, find you, in order for you to trade safely with that person. And even then, if the person is untrustworthy, doesn't have integrity, they can still pick up literally all the runes, walk away, and there's nothing you can do. Because it was just an agreement that you made. It wasn't, guaranteed. So I think if there was a way to make sure trading was good, or make sure trading was integritous, yeah, absolutely.
RMT, unless the game is completely solo self-found.
No, you're right.
You to actually find the items yourself.
He's right about this, and I think that so for example, the way that the game is structured right now, my understanding is that a lot of rare items will end up being best in slot, and rare items are tradable because rare items can have up to 5 affixes, and legendary items can only have 4. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to be at the highest level. Am I right about that or not? Isn't it the opposite? No, it's not. See, the reason why you think it's the opposite is because you played the lower tier of the game. Because at the higher tier of the game, Blizzard explained that the rares at that level are going to have 5 affixes. At like World Tier 4, they'll have 5 affixes, and that's one of the bonuses of playing in World Tier 4. He's not right. They changed it. Really? Rares have 5 affixes, so you can turn them into legendaries later. Yeah, they did. So you can get a God Roll rare. Yeah. You want to get a rare item with if this is Diablo 3, right? Like crit chance, crit damage, attack speed, main stat, and like health, right? Yep. Like that's it. They didn't change it. I don't know, but like as it stands right now, my understanding is that a lot of the best in slot items, or the items that have the potential to be the best in slot items, will be tradable.
Complete your character. In other words, they just want you to be solo self-found. This restricts the player from having the freedom to make their own choices.
Yeah, exactly. I think that they should just have a solo self-found mode. If you don't want to play with that, you should just have solo self-found mode, and that's it. Are you not ashamed of your actions to promote third-party site and RNC? Absolutely not. I think the only person who should be ashamed is Blizzard, because Blizzard is the one that's responsible for maintaining the integrity of their game. I should not advocate to have the game be a worse experience because Blizzard refuses to spend money on customer service. No, I'm not going to take responsibility for them being a multi-billion-dollar company unable to pay a few customer service representatives to make obvious decisions on bans. That's outrageous. Path of Exile does it, and the game is free.
that they should just have a self-found league like Path of Exile. They're literally forcing the player base to be solo self-found. Another theory is they're trying to appeal to a wider audience of players.
Yeah, again, this is predicated on something that's like it's not functionally true, unless my information is outdated. Oh, another fact is that some legendaries are tradable, other legendaries are not tradable. Because you guys remember whenever I played with Silverveil, and I was able to trade her some of my legendaries, and she was able to trade me some of hers, but not other ones. So not only are some legendaries tradable, but the highest potential items that are the rare items that have 5 affixes are going to be tradable because rare items are by default tradable. They confirmed that was a bug? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you. I was not aware of that. Okay, well, you can still trade the rare items.
Which is probably World of Warcraft, where soulbound items are the pathway to endgame gear completion. The next theory is...
Which, by the way, I'm an advocate of all gear in World of Warcraft should be account bound. Completely. With no restrictions. At all.
Personally think this is the best for the game and its future, regardless of community feedback. And the last theory is they think Diablo 3 was a success based on sales of 30 million copies without trading. However, when
Diablo 3 was a success in every metric. It was a massive success. The only people who think that it wasn't a success are people that had probably 500 plus hours into the game, which is like the top 10 or 1% of the player base. Like, a lot of people play Diablo 3. Do PoE has RMT, it's way hard to stop because people do it in different countries. No trade is the best answer.
I don't like how Diablo 3 was run. You know, they went 20 years, and then they added StarCraft. It was a huge hit. And then Diablo came around. It was Diablo's turn. I was like, no. I wasn't feeling it. I don't like what they did with Diablo 3. I don't like some of the decisions that they made. We'll leave it at that.
I don't care. I don't feel like my experience in Path of Exile is being diminished by traders, RMT. I would rather have some level of RMT and be able to trade than have no RMT and no trading. That's what I want. I would rather have some RMT and trading instead. Like, because that is the choice. You're right, that we will have some RMT no matter what. But as a Path of Exile player, I played the game many fucking leagues. I played this league as well. And as a PoE player for 10 years, over 10 years, I do not feel like my experience in the game has ever been diminished by other people RMTing. So I don't have a problem.
Well, yeah, because it's not PvP, but Diablo also has a PvP era. If you're not worried about PvP, then yeah, of course you're not going to have a problem with it. But if you like the thought of PvP and it being authentic, some people might have an issue with that. I don't know. I don't care about it. I'm fine with either.
You have the money to interact with that system and we don't, so hey, fuck us. Wait, I have the money to interact with, what money do I have? I have the money to interact with RMT. I've never RMT'd in, if I ever RMT'd in any game. I will be honest, guys. I was down bad in one PoE league, and I looked up how much Exalted Orbs were. I did. I looked it up, and then I decided it wasn't worth it, and I didn't buy them. But yeah, I looked it up. I was so upset, man.
Diablo 3 was released, everyone hated the game, and it died. The game had 200 Twitch viewers for years. The game was completely lifeless, while Diablo 2 had 40,000 players online in 2016.
Yep.
For some reason, Blizzard still seems to...
Did it have 40,000 players online all the time, or was this a peak? Because I don't think they have 40,000 people online right now.
Let's check.
Let me see. Now I'm about to look. Now I'm about to look at your content.
No, stop. No, bad. I think it's just that one person. I don't want all of Diablo 3. I just want, 79 viewers, 1.9 million followers, okay? Diablo 2, the original Diablo 2, 27 viewers. So pretty similar, okay, which is unfortunate. Let's see what the remastered, resurrected, whatever, 107. See, the resurrected has more viewers than the original. And I didn't want to jump into the resurrected simply because of the fact that to me, it looked like Diablo 2 with Diablo 3 graphics. It was not something I was really interested in trying. Now with Diablo 4, I might, because I'm looking at it and it's better, but I don't know. Anyways.
There's no way.
So that was probably a peak. If you go and look at the Diablo 2, although he is comparing Twitch viewers to in-game players, and I bet you about 3/4 of
2016, I'm pretty sure.
I am willing to bet that 3/4 of those 44,000 players are bots. Because people still run bots for items and sell them on Craigslist. Guaranteed.
It didn't come out in 2016.
Think that the game was a success. Diablo in the franchise is like the Beatles. It doesn't matter if that...
So I don't think that comparison is very fair, if we're being honest, especially looking at the Twitch views right now.
album or if the music or if the game is even good at all, it's going to sell millions of copies just because of the hype around the name.
He's right about
Let's
this.
talk about the constant restrictions of gameplay. Diablo 4 is advertised as an open world game. The world makes you feel restricted on the places you can go because there are barriers everywhere. The dungeons are usually one pathway and it literally makes you feel trapped in the world. Diablo 2 is 10 times more open world than this, and I'm not sure why Blizzard has designed the world this way.
It's hard to say how open world Diablo 4 is really going to be because we haven't seen anything more than Act 1. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think that being open world really just means that you can see other players. I think that that's what they kind of mean.
So he's only played to Act 1? When was this? 3 weeks ago. Okay, that's why. So it's open world-ish. It's similar, but I think all of the dungeons are too narrow.
I don't know.
When it was supposed to be open world. There are many aspects of the game that restrict you from where you really want to go and things you want to do. You can't go wherever you want because of the barriers in the open world, and you can't trade all the items.
Well, I mean, you couldn't in the beta because you only go to Act 1, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that's the... I mean, yeah, it's the beta, like, they didn't have everything unlocked. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? I mean...
And aspects can only be applied to certain items. You constantly have to salvage, enchant items, extract legendaries, etc. There's always something...
And I'm going to say that salvaging and extracting is going to be part of the grind. Hey, leave that alone, Screech. She's over here trying to eat through her cone. It's like, no, stop it. Yeah, I dug into a big word. I think that salvaging is going to be a part of the grind. I like that part because if there's an ability from a legendary that I really like and I am willing to give up the gear, like right now I've got like 15 aspects just sitting and waiting until I get to tier 3, world 3, right? So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I like it, but I don't know that I'd necessarily consider that a negative aspect to the game.
Restricting you from progressing, when instead you should just be out in the world killing stuff, not crafting constantly in the main city like World of Warcraft.
I don't... Bro, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no.
To salvage, enchant items, extract legendaries, etc. There's always something restricting you from progressing, when instead you should just be out in the world killing stuff, not crafting constantly in the main city like World of Warcraft.
See, I like the idea of crafting. I kind of like being like a Build-A-Bear, right? You build a character. I like that. But by the same token, I also understand where he's coming from. If you're looking at it from a critical point of view of trying to stay as close to Diablo 2 as possible, I think that crafting is dumb. But by the same token, again, I appreciate what it allows us to do.
That's not even true. So, like, okay, let's talk about this. Number one, most people aren't crafting all day in the main city in World of Warcraft. However, now in Dragonflight, there's more of an economy for it, so maybe you have more people to do it now. In general, that's not the case. Also with Diablo 2, there isn't a lot of crafting. Like, let's think about what crafting things you can do. You can replace one stat on a piece of gear. You can apply gem sockets to pieces of gear. You can enchant and also extract legendary affixes. And you can upgrade gear at the blacksmith. And you can apply gems into the gear. I mean, I feel like that's not a lot in Diablo 4.
No, it's not, especially compared to a lot of other open world games.
Diablo 2 got something almost perfect because there was crafting and
I love the Haraja cube.
Do other different types of crafting and enchanting abilities. It's just you didn't absolutely have to do it to be able to progress your character in the game. When you're completing the Diablo 4 story and questing, you can skip the cutscene. However, you still spend hours of time getting your escape key to skip the cutscene. Every side quest has the same boring scene. Also, every quest is a lot of walking and a lot of talking to NPCs. I don't know how many times I had to walk all the way across the map for so many quests.
It is kind of annoying to have to walk all the way over to like where that lady is at the top area next.
And this is why I hate the fact that they changed TP for Sorceress or Sorcerer, whatever, because TP in Diablo 2 was blah, 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 blah. And if you reduce your casting time, you can reduce your casting time to 0.1 seconds for teleport, right? Which for a Sorceress, where 90% of your kit are spells. Unless you're an enchantress, that's different. But anyways, most of your kit as a sorceress are going to be spells. So being able to cast spells as quickly as possible is super important. When you put TP on a cooldown, it ruins it for me. I don't like TP. I will not play a TP sorceress because of the change to a cooldown of like a fucking 15-second or whatever it is cooldown.
So like,
I'm not happy.
It is annoying, but like that's because we don't have the mount in Act 1, and like usually you'll have the mount in Act 2. It's not that big of a deal.
To just be out there killing stuff.
You have a mount in Act 2? Since fucking when?
It feels like they were trying to make the game an open world type atmosphere similar to World of Warcraft with a...
It's more like Lost Ark, really. I think that Lost Ark is probably the foundation that they're making a lot of decisions based off of.
An RPG spin-off that has a ton of restrictions. Runewords are not completed for the release of the game. They were a feature Blizzard announced to try to get Diablo 2 players into Diablo 4. This is basically the same thing as socketing an item with a jewel or a perfect gem. They are not runewords. You just get different effects based on the rune. The feature isn't completed, and I'm sure Blizzard will use this in an upcoming patch to gain hype.
I hope so.
Complex game
Dude, I fucking love Enigma. Look at this.
This is basically the same thing as docketing a rune with a jewel or a perfect gem. They are not rune words. You just get different effects based on the rune. The feature isn't completed, and I'm sure Blizzard will use this in an upcoming patch to gain hype.
Look at this. 2 to all skills, 1 to teleport. Boom! I love that. Strength based on character level. So you had to equip your other gear before equipping Enigma on most builds except for Barb in order to actually equip this thing. You get additional defense. Damage taken goes to mana, which is super important, especially for like if you're running a sorcerer, or like even better yet, a barbarian or a paladin, right? Because you get a paladin that can TP, and the damage he takes goes to mana. There's no such thing as damage reduction. Damage taken goes to mana is the best damage reduction you're going to get in Diablo 2. Besides, obviously, your armor points and your dodge. Like, the fact that the dodge isn't a thing in this game, or the chance to hit isn't a thing in this game, bothers me.
I understand the complex game mechanics for rune words because this requires a lot of testing and knowledge to be balanced properly.
Yep.
And most of the devs at Blizzard that work on Diablo games, I don't think they know anything about Diablo 2. And
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one at all.
I don't know about that, man. It's like whenever I look at the guys that are making Diablo 4, especially that Rod guy and that Joseph guy, they have the same energy as like the oldest guy in the comic book shop that knows more about Spider-Man than you do. I think they know how the rune words work. I'm pretty sure they do.
Never see them ever playing the game. It just seems like they have a job, and working at Blizzard is really cool, so they just like to be at Blizzard for the clout.
Dude, imagine designing a game and not playing it.
I never seen one ever playing the game to just know anything about Diablo 2. I also never see them ever playing the game. It just seems like they have a job in working at Blizzard.
I mean, I could say like Adam Fletcher, who's the he's community manager, right? So it's like kind of hard to one-to-one this. But like he posted about Diablo 2 kind of regularly. So I don't know about like I can't say like, well, this guy posted about it on this day. That's just the first one I can think of. I've seen Rod in game on all 3 betas.
It is really cool, so they just like to be at Blizzard for the clout and the hype. I never seen one Blizzard employee actually play the game, so I assume they don't have much knowledge or passion. Diablo game mechanics that come from the other games, such as Diablo 2.
I can see why this guy didn't get invited to the events.
This is probably why they copy and paste Diablo 3, because they don't actually understand Diablo at all. This is why the skill tree is like Path of Exile, and the rest of the game is just like World of Warcraft with a spin-off. It doesn't seem like PvP.
The skill tree is not really like PoE. The skill tree is like the World of Warcraft skill tree, and the Paragon board is kind of like Path of Exile.
Going to be completed for the release. This is impossible to balance with the current version of the game because my chain lightning does more damage than my actual health. If Blizzard wanted, they could balance.
Wait, what?
This is impossible. It doesn't seem like PvP is going to be completed for the release. This is impossible to balance with the current version.
Well, I mean, I don't think that it's supposed to be. I mean, Diablo is a PvE game. Nobody cares. Like, bro, if you care about PvP and Diablo, like, what the fuck? Just go play Valorant.
Of the game.
See, the problem with go play Valorant. Fuck off, dude, for real. So, like, I like the idea of PvP, right? Because you have to do a completely different build. Like with Assassin, the best thing to do in Diablo 2 with PvP was shock traps, because it stuns you in spot, and then you set a bunch of traps in a small confined area, and if one of them stuns you, you're fucked. You cannot afford to get hit, right? Because Assassin can decrease lightning resistance, which paired with the shock is fucking nuts. And then, like, Amazon, right? Like, you can do the guided arrow, but unless you do massive amounts of single-shot damage, you're not going to hit anything, right? Because then if there are any monsters in the area, as a boson, you're fucked. He's going to go search for the other guy instead of the PvP. So then, instead of having the guided arrow, you had to have the split arrow up to 25 times, reducing the damage to, I think you can get it to even damage if you put all 30 points into it. But anyways, PvP was fun. It made you think about mass damage, mass area damage, and survivability. Like, if you didn't have rejuve potions for PvP, you're fucked because there's so much damage, right? Like, if you go Sork, and that person doesn't have full immunity at 85%, you're going to win. No matter what you do, all you do is fucking shock and you win.
Because my chain lightning does more damage than my actual health.
Yep.
If Blizzard wanted, they could balance PvP and get the game on an esports level of popularity.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought about Overwatch too, and also Overwatch as well, and also World of Warcraft, and StarCraft. And did they make another game? Because if they did, probably about that game too. Heroes of the Storm, yeah.
Here's the Storm, Hearthstone, yeah. Warcraft Mobile.
As a World of Warcraft player, I feel like the WoW team has actually delivered a lot of really good content, and I think that this is not only true with retail WoW. I think it's also true with classic WoW. I think that basically every single decision that Blizzard has made regarding classic Wrath of the Lich King has been a good decision, and it's been impressive to me that they've made so many very good decisions with classic WoW. Now, I'm sure there's probably a couple of L's in there, but overall, as a WoW player, I do feel like the devs have there are things wrong with WoW. Don't get me wrong, but I think that the game is not awful right now.
I agree.
Major content patches.
Yeah,
they will make the majority of the money that there is to make from Diablo 4. I don't see Blizzard making enough money off cosmetics and battle passes for them to actually care for the game as much as they.
I think that they will. I think they absolutely will, and the reason why is because
they're going. So when Blizzard got bought out, Activision is all about microtransactions. Look at Call of Duty, battle passes, cosmetics, and look how much fucking money they make off of that shit. And then you can buy blueprints for new guns instead of leveling. Like, of course they're gonna make fucking bank off that. Do you see how much money people are spending already on cosmetics? I mean, they put the game out for $90, and I'm going to assume here on a whim that that's going to be the most popular option.
Diablo 4, it's like what he said earlier in the video, is that Diablo 4 hits a mainstream audience. There are a lot of people that hear about Diablo 4 from a commercial on TV. And one thing that people are not taking into account is how many people are console Diablo 3 players that never watch streams or anything like that.
Boo!
And that's why console players are like this silent majority that you never think about. But Diablo 3 has like tons of people that play it on console, obviously. So that's why they release it on every fucking console. And guess what? All of those people are going to play the game and get the battle passes. Because that's what the battle passes are really for. They're not for the super hardcore, grind every season for 900 hours players. These are for the casual 9 to 5 Dans that come back and they want to play Diablo on the weekends with their friends. These are the couch co-op dad gamers.
Yeah, I can see the way they're running Diablo. I can see that being the positive part. But again, I would rather play to grind longer for the better gear and have a more finite set of good working gear than I would having legendary gear all the way up,
Dans, yeah.
Because that's what makes it more exciting for me. Because when I look at it, I don't want to be the most powerful thing ever starting out. That's fucking boring, right? Like, it's annoying to not have to... It's annoying to have to fight the monsters and just stand there and hold left click, and it's annoying how much damage they already do. And I started off in World 2. But I find that spending that time is going to keep me playing the game longer and keep me from reaching my goals where there are fewer goals. So I'm okay with that. It's a decent balance change. I would prefer Diablo 2 where you grind over and over and over and do that more for the long term. But I think that the way that they've done it now kind of balances the time to achievement almost as well.
Care for World of Warcraft. Maybe if the game was a subscription-based money off cosmetics, battle passes for them to actually care.
Yeah, I find that to be like that's such a crazy opinion. Like, so I wonder why this person, like, if you were to ask them, like, why do you think every single game is shifting over towards this model then? If it's not a fundamentally good model, why is every game shifting towards this model? Very interesting question.
Yeah.
Because it makes money? Well, he's saying it won't. And he's saying the reason why Blizzard won't care about it is because it won't make money. Discord interview him? Sure. If he wants to talk about the game, that's fine with me. I have no problem with that.
For the game, as much as they care for World of Warcraft. Maybe if the game was a subscription-based game, it's just over time they won't make enough money from the game anymore. So I don't really see them continuing to develop more features in more of the end game in the future. Also,
PoE gets developed, right? I would say PoE has continuously gotten developed over time, and that hasn't really been a big deal. And that's fine. Diablo 3 didn't. Well, don't you understand that if you say that Diablo 3 didn't, that goes against your argument because Diablo 3 didn't have the monetization structure that Diablo 4 has that he is implying will prevent it from making money?
Yeah.
So, like, if you say Diablo 3 didn't, you're agreeing with me.
Seems to be what I call a culture flip or a new age of Diablo players that actually like Diablo 3 and even Diablo 4 game mechanics. After the release of Diablo 3, everyone hated the game, even before it was released. Also, the game died.
I don't think people hated the game before it was released. That's actually not true.
No.
I don't know how old this guy is, but like...
Probably old as fuck.
Tell you what it was like. So basically, everybody was like really, really hyped for Diablo 3. And the reason for that is because everybody, like, number one, like, this had been an anticipated game. Like, when did Diablo 2 come out? Like, year 2000, 2002?
It came out in 2000, and then Lord of Destruction came out in 01.
It came out a long, long time ago. And Diablo 3 was like the main...
I think Diablo 3 was 2013, 2015? something like that.
Installment, right? It was like a huge fucking big deal, and they announced Diablo 3 in 2008, I believe. So this had been hyped up for 4 years. So number one, like the game had hype writing on it, and like it was in development hell. They redid the game a couple of times. It was like a big thing. And so then whenever Diablo 3 the beta came out, you were able to play up to Leoric the Skeleton King, and that experience of the beginning of the game up to Leoric was actually S tier. And everything I would argue in Act 1 in Diablo 3 was like one of the best gaming experiences of an ARPG ever. It was absolutely fucking S tier, and that was the only thing that people had a viewpoint of inside of Diablo.
I don't know. I like the way it started, but the way it progressed was disappointing, especially with what they did to Deckard Cain. I love Deckard. Yes, he had to die at some point, but the Haradrim are known for living thousands of years.
3. All they saw was Act 1 being really good. But the moment that you stepped foot into that desert, you had mobs off-screening you, enemies not attacking you and not being able to be seen. Zoltan Kulle was a shit fight. Belial was a shit fight. Like, everything in Act 2 was shit. It was so garbage. That stupid butterfly bitch that would run over, and she'd put, like, the butterflies on you, and then she'd summon the berserkers, and she'd run away, and oh my god, it was awful, right? So the point is that Diablo 3, was extremely anticipated on release. And everybody was hoping and expecting it to be good, because everything they saw in the closed beta was massively fucking popular. You know what? Dylan, show us your dick, Dylan. Let me play on his Battle.net account, because he had the beta and I didn't. This was literally fucking, like, 12 years ago or something like that. Yeah, no, it's a friend of mine. It's a long story why he's called that. It's a very, very long story. And anyway, so he had me play on it, and I played all the way through it, and I had so much fucking fun. And anyway, what I'm saying is that Diablo 3 was massively...
I never got the beta.
And eagerly anticipated by the entire internet. And I remember that fateful day. It was like May in 2012 whenever it came out, and I played with a couple of friends of mine, and I remember I got like a massive drink at 7-Eleven, and I played all night long, and error 37, which was the error code that you got whenever you couldn't log into the server, was the top trending thing on all of Twitter worldwide, because the servers were so bad. But to say that the game was disliked before it came out is just factually untrue.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Maybe there were some people that disliked it, sure. But to say that it was disliked is absolutely untrue.
See, I was super fucking hyped for Diablo 3 when it first came out, and then I played the fuck out of it. I think I beat the game in like a week. And that's from working 50 hours a week. Like, I loved playing through Diablo 3. But I can't get with the story. I can't get with how they did that.
While Diablo 2, as I said, had 40,000 players online. I will say I love Diablo. Everyone hated the game, even before it was released. Also, the game died while Diablo 2, as I said, had 40,000 players online. I will say I love Diablo 4, and so far it is a wonderful game.
Well, that's a... what? Okay.
So, if Diablo 4 is more like Diablo 3 than Diablo 2, and you don't like what they did with Diablo 3, how could you like Diablo 4?
Okay. Great.
However, everything that made the franchise unique compared to other games has been dismissed for years, and this is why there's an outrage from Diablo 2 players. All we wanted was a new game that was similar to Diablo 2 in its core game mechanics, such as rune words and endgame. It surprised
I didn't want that. I'll tell you that.
I did.
I watched Diablo 2.
You said Diablo 2 players. You're not a Diablo 2 player. You've established that.
I thought it looked like shit. I thought the endgame sucked. Yeah, I didn't want that. Oh, no way. I didn't want Diablo 3 either. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted.
It's not a plea that I'm copping.
To me that this new age of Diablo players tell us to go play Diablo 2 if we like it so much, and tell us we're on some kind of nostalgia trip, when everyone hated Diablo 3 to begin with. So I guess it's just a new age for Diablo.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the way that every game is, right? I mean...
Dude, Tristram. Oh my god, Tristram, holy shit.
And get more popular, and the way it's going to be designed is going to change. I mean, that's just how it is. I think that, like, I think the problem that I have with this video is that a lot of what he did was... I mean, I think you can have a read on the community, but I think that the only, like, real evidence that he used is, like, really not super good. Like, for example, having 40,000 active players on. Like, that's probably during a seasonal update or some kind of, like, a big event. You know, this isn't like Tuesday, right? And usually games are going to have a big boost whenever a new season comes out or anything like that. And
yeah,
that's the way
of course.
He's speaking for everyone. Yeah, I think that also a lot of times whenever he says that Diablo 2 players or, you know, what everybody thinks or something like that, I don't think that he was really speaking for anybody else except for himself. Now, obviously, I'm sure there are people that agree with him, but to say that this is some sort of generalized opinion is, I don't really think, very true. I think also it's kind of cheesy to, like, call out a lot of these, like, other content creators and say, like, well, you know, these people, like, insinuate basically that they are disingenuous or malicious in misrepresenting how they feel about the game in order...
They are potentially misrepresenting. Maybe they don't like it as much as they say, but they're literally paid to be partnered. So, again, why would you criticize something that's giving you sustenance? You know,
get access to Blizzard. I think that's kind of unfair.
It's like your parents. You love your parents, I hope, right? Love my dad. Mom, that's another story. But you know, I love my dad with all of his flaws. I love him for who he is. I appreciate what he did, right? So, like, of course they're going to show their appreciation for Diablo, regardless of the flaws, because that's what they're paid to do. Of course.
Calling them shills, basically. Especially, as I said, I mean, and this is the problem with people like this that speak in generalities, is that anytime that they're actually, like, required to put a fact down, They're trying to put like information down. They're really paid to shill. They're really paid to shill though. Well, what I'm saying is that what are they saying? So here, let me give you logic here, okay? So they're paid by Blizzard to shill. Who's to say that this guy isn't also being paid by YouTube metrics and YouTube videos to just make a controversial video for the sake of it? That he doesn't really believe.
Considering the amount of likes that he has, 604, I doubt that's. Yeah.
How is he not just a shill for YouTube views? So you see how this video has no views? It has 18,000 views. I think that's a lot. If you look at, and also it could have popped off more. Let's look. It's about average, maybe above average with a lot of his videos. We'll just have to wait and see, how many more people watch, especially 10 days ago. I think it'll probably go up a lot whenever the game comes out. So yeah, according to that view, nothing is genuine. Yeah, so according to the view, nothing is genuine. Exactly. And so it's like it's easy to say that everybody else is like a shill and something like that. But I think that whenever you're making like baseless accusations, like nobody on the Diablo team plays Diablo 2 or knows anything about Diablo 2.
Yeah, no, I call cap on that, 100%. I agree with this guy, AsmodanGold. He hit it pretty spot on. Like, why the fuck would you play a game, or why the fuck would you design a game and not play?
And like they're just working at Blizzard for the clout. Like I think that's ridiculous. Shows where people say go to the site and win money. Well, the thing is that if you want to say that somebody is being a shill and what they're saying isn't accurate, you should be able to disprove it. So like if somebody is saying something that is not true, if you're not a shill, you should be able to come out and be like, this is not true because of this. But that didn't happen. Because it's a baseless accusation. Assumes the developers are actual decision makers. Fuck off with that. Well, it also like assumes that he knows what they're doing. Isn't so full of it? All he does is segment balls. Is that it? I don't know. I mean, as I said, I think that what he's done a lot of times in this video is he's basically taken his own opinion and then just instead of saying I said us or everybody in the community. Do I'm a Diablo 2 player and I agree with most of what he says. Quick shouldn't roast me, but I'll talk about it. Let's see what you have to say. Yeah, sure. Let's read some messages here. He's speaking for Diablo 2 players. He's fully correct. Well, how do you know that? I mean, like, I don't think that, like, I mean, for example, like, I don't speak for the World of Warcraft community.
I'm going to slow this down.
I don't speak for anybody. I speak for myself, and there are people who agree with me. Right? You can't say that a person speaks.
He's older than you, and he was there too. Yeah, I mean, maybe he is. That was my assumption earlier. If you go back and look, that was my assumption is that this guy's older than AsmodanGold. So of course he's going to know more. And AsmodanGold didn't play Diablo 2 very much. He watched it, but he didn't play. He doesn't. I don't think that he can understand without playing. Is he fully correct? Not entirely. I think that there are a lot of things that this guy said that were pretty accurate, but sure, maybe it did sound like he was talking out of his ass.
Because they weren't.
Diablo 2 player. Roast me if you want, but I'll talk about it.
This is just a person who is appointing themselves a speaker as of the community. I'm a Diablo 2 player and he doesn't speak for me? Yeah, and so it's like, what is this? Like, Curry never played Diablo 2. Diablo 2 PvP is the sole reason people play it.
No! Well, PvP could be it. Because, I mean, what are you going to do with all that gear besides run through fucking the hell difficulty? Like, come on,
Diablo 2 PvP is the sole reason why people play it. Well, then logically it would make sense that most of the people that are streaming it would be streaming PvP, right? Well, let's take a look at that.
Let's see. What does he got? You cannot look at Diablo 2 Resurrected! That was 100% cap. Of course you're not going to have that. Why? Because these people are playing to experience the new visuals.
Do we see any PvP streams here? It sure seems like a lot of people are just farming. One
or two, maybe.
Farming items. Control F PvP. Okay, it's a good idea. Find on page PvP. Okay, one of two matches here. Yeah, one person has 5 viewers and the other one has 3. So that's a factually untrue statement, at least if you go off of Twitch metrics.
You're also looking at Diablo 2 Resurrected, not Diablo 2.
Which I do think are a rough estimate, although it's not accurate completely. The guy to Diablo 2 Legend knows the game more fully than anyone. I don't think anybody's debating whether he knows Diablo 2. I'm as Isma Stan, this guy knows his Diablo 2 shit. Maybe he's wrong about Diablo 4, but he knows Diablo 2 better than anyone. Okay, Diablo 3 is fully trash, he's trying to prevent it. Diablo 2 is legendary.
No, I'm not gonna make you guys sit through that. Anyways, yeah, I appreciate how some of the stuff was articulated, and it puts into perspective some of the things some of the issues I have with Diablo 4. Will I continue playing Diablo 4 after I beat the game? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go finish the side quests and stuff. Do I think that it's as good as Diablo 2? No. But I'm also someone who has put... I was talking to somebody the other day, and I pointed out that throughout my time playing it, I typically prefer to binge it rather than casually play it, right? Because it's just me. So what I do is I will play all day, every day. And out of the 2 times that I remember doing it, this is after childhood, like high school and then a little bit of my working career. My first binge was 2.5 months. I literally went outside and danced. Like, that is how intensely I was in this. So you figure, 80 hours a week? Right? I think it's pretty fair to say 80 hours a week for 2.5 months. And then fast forward to when I was working overnights, I was sitting at the desk. I needed something to do. So I played it for 4 months straight. I played it for 50 hours a week at work. And then I also played it about 20 hours a week at home. Okay, so a couple nights I'd stay home, come home on my afternoons off or whatever. And between those 2 times, I guesstimated about 1,000 hours, right? And if you guys watch me on Twitch or anything and have seen my profile, I've got like 2,500 hours on Overwatch, right? So 2,500 hours for 6 years versus basically 1,000 hours in my guesstimation of Diablo 2 in 6 months. I think that kind of speaks to the quality of the game. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to keep playing Diablo 4. We'll see what happens, but I am definitely still a Diablo 2 fanboy. Anyways, I'm going to get back to it. I'll see you guys next time.